guys, Harmony here, your map nerd extraordinaire. I like to say that it's, it's not nerdy to like maps, it's actually cool to like maps because I need to think that. Just kidding. Maps really are awesome though. That's just legitimate truth. But this week's map adventure took us to a place called Nightingale, Nevada.
The north-south trending mountain range known as Nightingale was interestingly enough named after Alonzo W. Nightingale. But thanks to folk etymology, the name was eventually changed to the more widely known word of Nightingale. This mountain range that sits on the border of Pershing and Washoe counties is 22 miles long and only 3.4 miles in width. Not particularly tall mountain range, it ranks number 3,560 in tallest mountain peaks in Nevada. The Nightingale Mountains are 6,492 feet above sea level and 4,339 feet above the now dry ancient Lake Winnemucca, which is a now dry lake bed to the east of Pyramid Lake. Little about Lake Winnemucca, it sits smack dab on the border of Pershing and Washoe counties. Pyramid Lake was first mapped by John Fremont in 1844. Inexplicably, and very curiously, he does not map Lake Winnemucca, leading some to believe it may have been a dry lake at the time. It also fails to make the 1854 official pocket map of the state of California by William Zeddy. The nameless lake does show up on Vincent's 1860 map of the state of California. We don't actually start seeing it named until 1865, where it shows up on several maps, placing it in the Utah Territory. Sadly, when State Route 447 was built, it blocked the flow that connects the lake to Pyramid Lake, as seen on the Rand McNally 1923 map. And by the 1930s, it had officially dried up. What I think is arguably the coolest, most amazing, awesomest, yeah, it's a word, thing about this ancient lake is not its water status, but the petroglyph site on its west side. But not just any petroglyph site, the oldest in North America. Like all Neolithic stone sites, pinpointing an exact date via carbon dating can be a problem. But thanks to hydraulic levels, it can be dated between 10,500 and 14,800 years ago. To put that in perspective, they're older than Göbekli Tepe, writing, the Egyptian practice of mummification, definitely older than the pyramids of Giza, and last but not even close to least, older than the wheel itself.
Adventure came to us via the Nevada Ghost Towns and Desert Atlas book by Stan Pyre. This book is awesome, by the way. I picked up this book, this particular copy, at Grassroots Books here in town, which is amazing. Holla Grassroots, love you. They are a great used bookstore here in town. Selection of everything, and they have newer books too. It's not just old books. It's a great book selection. The store is very well laid out. They have this epic dollar bin. Yeah, I think I just said that right. Dollar bin. As a girl who went and spent $85 at the dollar store the other day, I appreciate a dollar bin. I chose this location this week is because one, it's within an hour from Sparks, which is where I live. Love that. Two, it says right here that there's garnets out there. Love garnets. Something about deep red. I don't know. It's just always loved it. Three, awesome name, Nightingale. I'm like, what? Am I gonna go there to be an opera singer? I don't even know. I just like it. I want to go. Even though this week's location was found in the Desert Atlas, and yes, it does have a nice handy dandy map and it shows you how to get there and everything. I just thought, it's too easy. Why would we want to actually go somewhere where we could find it right away? That would just be mayhem, ridiculousness, anarchy. So what I like to do is I like to do things the hard way. So I like to find it on a map. I know you're thinking, Harmony, you just showed us on a map. Mental, right? No, I like to find it on an old map. Time to find Nightingale on a map. Not easy. Not easy at all. First of all, where is Nightingale? Well, we know from our other map. It is in the Nightingale mountain range. Interestingly enough, after all this research, after starting at the oldest map I could possibly find and working my way forward hard and long, I did find it. Not where you think I would. That's right, folks. Texaco. Took me a minute to convince Jerry to go, but he's eventually on board about it. Trust me, you don't need to ask him. Just know that he was fine with it. He was very delighted to. He was really delighted to go. This is the road. This is the road to Nightingale Mine via I-80. Say hi, Jerry. Okay.
To get to the Nightingale, we decided to trust Stan Power's map and take I-80 to the Nightingale exit, then head up Sage Hen Wash. Quick little fact, there are so many sage hen in the state of Nevada that at one time it was actually known as the Sage Hen State. As long as you trust in this path and ignore the many dirt roads that offshoot Sage Hen Wash, this Dreep Trail will take you directly into what is known as the mining camp of Nightingale.
It's pretty easy so far. A little bumpy, but not bad. Pretty well maintained.
Easy so far.
Yep, pretty hella easy. Pretty well maintained.
There's a lot of riders out here.
There are a lot of riders out here, that's true. This right here is what I'm going to call Crinkle Mountain. It looks like the mountain has just crinkled up, and it's kind of cool. I think it looks better in person than it does out here. Oh, here we've got some housing development going on. A house and some mini houses, loose term. And we're still on the road. Welcome to Nightingale. We've got some old structures here. So we can see, if we can zoom in over here, there's a bunch of like little foundations and kind of little roads laid out. Up here we've got sort of something. We're gonna take a look and walk around.
The year? 1908. What? Gold, of course. Gold was discovered in the area known as Black Warrior Peak. Very short time later, and true to the times, a shaft was sunk into the ground, and soon men began to flock to the area seeking fortune and fame. Within weeks, plans were laid out to make a new town site to be called Nightingale, 1 mile east of the strike at a nearby spring. Short time after that, this new town site had 2 saloons, and lumber was being brought in to build a hotel, store, and boarding house. However, the dream that would become Nightingale was short-lived. As it turned out, the high-grade ore was refractory ore, which has ultra-fine gold particles throughout, but is naturally resistant to standard processing, which makes the recovery of the gold extremely difficult. Within months, the new town site was abandoned and left to the hands of time. The ruins that we see today are remnants of the Nightingale mining camp that was laid out by the Tungsten Production Company in 1929. The Tungsten Production Company were known for their well-lined out mining camps, especially in remote locations, to attract quality skilled workers. All of the Tungsten Production Company mining camps consisted of similar specifications, which were overseen by their corporate office in Colorado. still in Nightingale. We've got a ton of foundation ruins here. They just go everywhere. They're all over. Jerry's up there standing inside some. We've got some pretty decent ones everywhere. We're just kind of tripping around. Interesting enough, the ground here is a different color. Consistency. I think I'm gonna make my way out to that pipe right there. The once promising mine saw new life in 1917, when Alex Ranson, while searching for silver, discovered tungsten, which at the time was worth $80 a unit. He immediately set out to purchase the property, but to his dismay, he learned that the ruins were now owned by the railroad. The railroad had been deeded the property through land grants, despite the fact that the nearest tracks were over 20 miles away. Further derailing his plans, the railroad, having found out that there was tungsten on the property, now wanted $25,000 for land that had previously only been worth 3 cents an acre. Not being able to afford it outright, he partnered with a gentleman named Freeman. The two incorporated and were able to buy a clear title from the railroad. However, it was not long before the new venture provided a failure, as they realized the tough tungsten ore needed to be rolled to be processed, requiring them to haul it 40 miles southeast to the mill at Toulon. Here we are up the mine. As you can see, there's sort of holes everywhere. Kind of like holy hole here. See how close we can get. Yeah, they go pretty deep. Here comes Jerry. Hi, Jerry.
Hello.
We're gonna come up over the hill here. Be careful.
Get the hole?
I did get the hole. Okay, here we go.
Ready?
Go. Oh, so it's not that bad. He's hit a couple things. After 9 hard years of labor in 1929, Freeman sold the claim to the Tungsten Production Company, where he then took a job as foreman. The Tungsten Production Company quickly began plans to enlarge the mill and construct a new mining camp. And in 1933, the company was reformed and became the Gold and Silver and Tungsten Company. Okay, we are on our way to this other really pretty epic structure we see over here. Wow, okay. This is really neat. I'm gonna follow the man with the plan over there and hope we don't sinkhole in. Here we go. Okay. Oh, wow. So here we are. We got this area right here. Come up here, Jerry. You see, we got all this over here. This is pretty massive and pretty epic. Under the new management, the price of tungsten being on the rise, work on a mill with a 100-ton connector was built on site. Unfortunately, the mine didn't produce the necessary amount of ore, and the mill was only operated 4 times. During the Gold, Silver, and Tungsten Company's 10-year, the only year that turned a profit was in 1932, and it only yielded $9,000. The 1938-39 year was especially hard, when out of 3,500 tons of ore mined, only 18 tons were of any value. This caused a suspension of operations and the closing of the mining camp for good. In the 1940s and early 50s, there were a few other attempts to revive the old mine. However, none were fruitful. And by 1956, interest in tungsten was far too diminished for the old girl to keep in business. The mining camp that shot to life in 1908 and was the hope of many throughout the years was now left to the hands of time, becoming nothing but a faded memory in the desert, so ending the final chapter of Nightingale.
said, I'm the cable guy. I've got GPS built in me.
As he turns down the wrong road again. But he won't listen to me. We'll just see where this plays out. Can you repeat that statement one more time again?
What?
Harmony was what?
Harmony was right.
And Jerry was?
Wrong.
What about that built-in GPS you had there?
Yeah, sometimes it don't work.
Sometimes it don't work. You want to ready to listen to me now?
No.
Okay then. Let's get lost. It'll be- Such a great girl. Be sure to join us next week as we go trekking through the Truckee River Canyon in search of Iceland.